Usually it takes me 9 months to get through a sketchbook. I know, I'm the quickest artist in the world. This time it took me 6 months, but that's because the sketchbook was a little smaller. So hi everybody, I'm Ward, welcome to my channel Ward Draws a Lot, and this week we're going to be going through my finished sketchbook. For reference, as you can see right here, it is the Strathmore Mixed Media Sketchbook. It is the 500 series 8.5 by 11, and it was a little bit more on the expensive side, but I really wanted a good experience with a good mixed media sketchbook, and that's why I got this one in specific. I heard a lot of people speak good of this sketchbook, and since I'm somebody who's always willing to try something new, that's exactly what I did, and I did end up liking the sketchbook. The first page, as always, is going to be swatches. I swatched with marker, pencils, color pencils, anything that needed to be swatched just so I could kind of give it a good test, and I found that this paper blended very well. Although it soaked up a little bit more ink because it's not made for specifically markers, it still did a pretty good job. We start off, of course, with the first official page in the sketchbook. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about when you do the first page in the sketchbook. It's always like a big, oh my gosh, what do I put on it? Especially because this is the first thing everybody sees. Usually for me, it means that I can do whatever I want because it is the first page. So this time I decided to do something very mixed media-ish, which is the character in the middle made with marker, and in the background the art text markers kind of colored in with sunflowers, and it looked really cute for a first page. This is the second page, of course, and at first I didn't color it in for a very long time. I sketched it and gave up on it, which is why all of a sudden you see the date is like July. So I came back to it way later and ended up coloring it because at first I didn't like it, but after coloring it and really sitting on it, I'm like, wow, I actually do like the way this came out. And it kind of taught me to, I guess, sit on some things for a while before saying I like or dislike them. This was the first actual page in the sketchbook, meaning that before everything there was this. I always say there's the official page and then there's the actual page. This actual page was a review from Artify. They sent me their markers and they asked me for an honest review so they could, better their supplies not only for the artist but for the average consumer. And I gave them my, advice and my opinion on what I like and what I don't like, and honestly the markers were pretty good. They just needed a little bit more ink, and they took note of that and emailed me back. And honestly, I appreciate when a company really goes for what they're doing and is asking the audience that is going to use their stuff on how to better it. I think that means they truly care about their product and want the experience of the user to be as best as possible, As per usual, we have some doodles. The ones on the right were just kind of what I was feeling like. I really like the one where he's wrapping the arm with the bandage, and the one where he's putting on deodorant. And the two on the left are just kind of little doodles that I had from another sketchbook and then put them in here so I could help fill up some space. Here I practiced the back, like some back anatomy, and I didn't want to just leave it as the back, so I added the bottom and then made it look like he was kind of doing, I guess, like a deadlift. On the right, I was trying to swatch these Kohlink paint markers. By the way, they suck. Don't bother. It's not worth it. Even though it's $5 a pack, it's so not worth it. This was a sketchbook spread. It was a video that I did on my Elden Ring character, and I kind of, made up this personality for them, that they were like this quiet barbarian, which is like a nice, like, opposite thing put together. And I wanted to do like these poses where he was just looking at you with his sword and his shield, one where he's desperately drinking his Estus flask because I'm always getting completely beat down in the game, and then one where he's kind of doing a quest line with shrubbery grapes. And I really liked the way this kind of looks all together, and I think that it suits the game and my style very well. Like, I think I translated it pretty well in my style. So this is a sketchbook spread of Nikki and Ward that I never completed, and I'll tell you why. It's because I didn't like the way Ward came out. There was something about her that I was like, no. So I didn't bother coloring it in. I was being very like, I don't want to touch this because I had already erased like a shit ton on this paper and I didn't want to ruin it anymore. So I just left it as a sketch. I'll probably transfer it to digital. In the middle of this page, there's like you see that little extra flap? That is an NSFW drawing that YouTube would immediately snipe me on sight for, so I had to like cover it up completely, and I taped a piece of paper in between so this way it cannot be like accidentally shown. So that one is going to be for me. Here's an Artex sketchbook spread that I did, and I really liked the way this character came out. Their eyes are so gorgeous, and I love the hair. The hair is like super, almost like detailed, but not detailed. It really paints the picture of Microlocks well, and they just really look super cute and vivacious, and I loved the way this character looks, and I might draw them again in the future, honestly. Here is a sketchbook spread with only pencil of Nikki. I drew Nikki a lot in this sketchbook. I don't know what it was, but like I just constantly came back to drawing him, and this was one of the first spreads that kind of started that. And I just love the way this looks, especially the one where he's flexing his arm. Oh my god, he looks like shy and embarrassed at the same time. It's so cute. I love it so much. This is one of my favorite spreads of him, but that little drawing specifically just makes my mind go monkey. Here I tried the Deli acrylic markers. I had been seeing them like everywhere, all over, and everyone's like, I love these markers, and I was like, damn, I kind of want to try them, so I bought them, and I tried them out, and when I was doing this sketchbook spread, I was like, dang, these markers are like, they're kind of sheer. I have to layer them like a lot in order to get, you know, a clear opaque layer. And after a while I was like, wait, this is a good opportunity to use to blend them together. So after I did this sketchbook spread, I went on to the next page and I tried layering the markers and blending them together, and they worked so well. They were like really good at blending. It was like me using genuine paint instead of just a paint marker. I had a lot of fun when I realized that I could do that with those markers. The drawing on the right is, again, Nikki, and Instagram sniped me immediately when they saw that I posted this, even though it had the censored and it was the warning in front that was like possible NSFW. It was like, are you guys serious? You're really gonna like basically shadow ban me for this drawing right here when I literally find corn on Insta? And I was like, okay, that's great. Here is a little doodle spread of Pim's sister from Smiling Friends and her boyfriend Alpha. I don't know if he has like an actual name, but I call him Alpha. I also drew him throwing up on the right side. I thought that was funny because that's like a huge thing about him that everybody kind of like, you know, laughs at. He just like threw up on the table. This is when I did my Bimbo sketchbook spread, and a lot of people ended up kind of watching that. In my like eyes, a lot of people. I'm pretty small, so if a video gets over 1,000 views, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's over 1,000 views. So I was surprised that there was a good amount of comments, and a lot of people had some pretty positive feedback about these four girls. I guess people just like seeing girls drawn, but especially in a particular style, and I thought that all four of them looked super cute, so I don't blame them for clicking onto it. Another little doodle spread. I always took little pages from another small separate sketchbook and kind of drew on them, and, you know, did mostly like eyes and some skin on there just to kind of give the sketchbook a little bit more fill-ins. And honestly, I really like how the bottom eye doodle looks. I also have on the right Nikki again, and I did that as like a YouTube short, and I honestly love the way he came out. I just love drawing him in pencil. Here is, again, more Nikki. Like I said, I drew him a lot in this sketchbook. The one where his like legs are forward, I was trying to practice leg muscles, and I was like, what better way than to, you know, put him in some boxes, you know, some little box. I also doodled him again right next to that, and then in that little sketchbook from earlier that I was talking about, I doodled him again with a certain pose that I had on my phone saved for a while, and I really like how that one came out. Here is part 2 of a little series that I'm slowly getting through, which is drawing like vintage pinup cards in modern day kind of like beauties, because, you know, all of the old vintage ones are very much the same type of body and the same type of skin color. So I decided to try and take those poses and then make them more of a beauty standard that I like, which is, you know, everything. So I make them chubbier or muscular or taller, anything of the sort, until, you know, I kind of get through the entire stack. Here are some more doodles. Of course, it's a little hard to see because, you know, the marker bled from the previous page, but I drew a girl kind of like looking over. She's giving very like 70s vibes, and I'm kind of liking it. She looks like very pretty and very soft. I think it's definitely the pencil that helped that look kind of transfer through. And the eye at the top on the next page, which was just like a cute little thing that I did. Again, I like filling up the space with little kind of things here and there. Here I redesigned an old drawing of Nikki in armor into one that looks like a little bit more, I guess, fully developed. The older armor looked like, I don't know, it just did not look right. It looked very cheap and ugly. So I decided to redesign new armor completely and give him this whole new look, and it honestly looked so cool, and I want to draw more of him in this armor just because I really think it looks super cool, and I don't want the idea just to sit here forever and kind of go into the sketchbook void until years later. Here was a little doodle I did on the left, and I did it when I was like basically falling asleep at my desk, and I just wanted to doodle something, and then I came back a few days later and I was like, damn, that doodle is really ugly, so I redrew it on the right to something that's like a little bit more, I guess, consciously drawing it, and where I'm like, you know, paying attention to the expression and the anatomy and giving him a little bit more personality. So I really like the little redoodle or redraw doodle more than the original. This was a little practice piece. I wanted to kind of see how I would fare with coloring color pencil on top of marker, and if I could make it blend well, or how it would look in my style, because I'm still, even though I have a good amount of color pencils, I'm still trying to find my way around to how I like using them. And I did like how he came out. I think the skin came out pretty well blended, and it just looks rendered nicely. The doodle on the left is just some, you know, bullshit doodle as per usual. This guy right here, I started drawing him and I was like, wow, I kind of really like the way he looks, the arm on top of his head and the way he's looking over his shoulder. But then, like, the more I was drawing him in, I was like, yo, he low-key looked like Rengoku, so I'm gonna just stop right here. And I was like, you know, I love that character, but I didn't want the characters to kind of be too similar to each other, so I was like, let me just keep this as a doodle and not flush it out anymore. I do like the fact that he has fiery orange hair and really bushy brows, though. I thought that was like a cute combo. Here I took the lyrics from two different songs, on the left Arabella by Arctic Monkeys, and on the right Get It Shawty by Lloyd, and then created them into characters. I feel like every so often I'll come back to this because it had been a year since I did it, and I really wanted to see what these characters would kind of look like in my style, and I really loved the way they came out, especially Arabella, because there was a lot of descriptories for her, so I thought it was pretty cool. Here we got some doodles of, you know, men's bodies and me smugly looking over on the sketchbook page on a post-it note. The one on the right I kind of posted in a community post, and there's actually nothing there. You know, sadly, there's nothing there. But I really wanted to just kind of work on my, like, anatomy and refresh it and color him in. Sharpest jawline in the world. He has arguably, like, you can cut paper on his jawline. But I really like the way it came out. Here are some side profiles that I wanted to kind of practice. On the left were like from my mind, but I struggled with that very hard, so I decided to look up side profiles on, like, you know, Google Images, and I found these two girls that, you know, had really pretty side profiles, so I decided to draw them. But then I realized I struggled with drawing the eye as a side profile, so I did a little, you know, page for that too on the bottom, but I didn't like the way it came out, so I still need to practice that. But I feel like I definitely do need a reference whenever I'm doing side profiles. Here is a fairly recent video I did about the Windtam heat stroke photo shoot, and I took 4 of the poses that I liked, or at least 3 of the 4 that I liked, and decided to redraw them with my character Nikki. Again, he's like all over this sketchbook. So I took them and I redid them and, like, you know, studied the photos, and I really liked the one where he's wearing the sheer top. That is definitely my favorite of the bunch. Here I was kind of like messing around with some perspective. It's a little harder to see the one on the left because, you know, the marker bled through. The one on the right I actually do like a lot. I feel like, of course, I'm still not 100% there with perspective, but at least I'm trying to practice it. I do feel like you can kind of catch the vibe that, you know, he is, you know, coming closer towards the page on one side of the body and the other one's kind of back there. So it kind of looks like he's jumping up towards the page. Does that make any sense? Here I, you know, remembered that this is a mixed media sketchbook. So I took my oil pastels that I've bought like over 2-3 years now and have just been sitting there, and I was like, you know what, let me actually use them. And I tried to kind of draw out, you know, and get a feel for them on the left, and then actually do a doodle with them on the right. And I really like the feel of them. They're the Crayola oil pastels. They're super creamy, surprisingly, and blended very well together, and I actually really liked using them. Here is my most recent video where I do some fan art of Vash the Stampede and Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid 5, and I really love the way this came out, but especially Big Boss, because I'm not somebody who does realism, and I feel like he came out fairly well, especially the one at the bottom with him holding the cassette tape. I was like, wow, I'm actually surprised that I didn't do complete garbage on these little reality pieces here. Here I was really feeling the oil pastels again, and I decided to doodle them. The one on the left, I really like her. She like looks super cute, and the eyes are like big, and the shading with the kind of like bluish green going on. I really love how that came out. The one on the right, I don't know, it's something that like creeps me out about her. And I think it's because that there's like a lot of red and in the skin, and usually that's like it's like a little off-putting, but I was kind of glad that even though I sprayed it down, the black from the other piece kind of ruined it, and I was like, it's whatever, I'm fine with it. Here is, again, more practice with the oil pastels. I really wanted to try and get to use them, especially because this book was coming to an end, so I decided to doodle out this big piece right here of this character eating ice cream. It is a boy, so just a really pretty one. I really like the idea of doing big eyes with big eyelashes whenever I'm using oil pastels, and I hopefully will get to kind of expand more on that later with either canvas or more mixed media sketchbooks in the future. Then finally, again in oil pastels, we have me going yay done, as in I finished the sketchbook on 9/26/24. So it took me just about, or almost exactly, 6 months to complete the sketchbook, and honestly I really liked using it. If you guys do get a mixed media sketchbook, I do suggest this one. It is a little bit more expensive, but it's a higher quality paper, which means you're going to have a higher quality experience using it. And since this sketchbook is done this week, that means next week hopefully I will be starting the new sketchbook, and I hope you guys are there for that journey as you were for this one. And if you weren't there for this one, join me on the new sketchbook journey. Hopefully I would love to have you there. As always, thank you for watching, and remember, I love you. Bye!